This is Alternative Talk 1150.
Sarah Riley, Senior Mortgage Advisor, NMLS 180007. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2289, is an equal housing lender. This is not an offer to enter into an agreement. Not all customers will qualify. Information, rates, and programs are subject to change without notice. All products are subject to credit and property approval.
Welcome to our show. I'm your host, Sarah Riley.
And I'm your co-host, Isaac Stegman.
And this is the Real Deal Radio Show. If you're a regular listener, then you know this show previously as Financial Fitness Northwest. Well, we have some really big and exciting news. First off, I want to take the opportunity to let you know that I've moved my mortgage business and I'm with a new company. I'm really excited. Opening my own branch with Fairway Independent Mortgage. Patricia decided not to make the move with me. And so we're not, doing the show together. We're taking it in a new direction. But it's great news because guess what? She's still my mom and she still loves me. It's all good and really exciting opportunity because now I get a co-host with Isaac Stegman.
Yeah.
Isaac is the founder and president of Kaizen Coaching, and he is also the owner and publisher of Seattle Real Producers Magazine, a publication that goes out to the top 500 real estate agents in King Snohomish counties. So our show is going to continue to the highest and most amazing local nonprofits, performers in the real estate scene and focus on the Seattle real estate producers community, including monthly cover agents, rising stars, and industry affiliates. So if you're a regular listener out there, you might remember Isaac was previously a guest on the show. We interviewed him. It was one of my favorite interviews. And so after having him on and meeting him, I just knew I had to have more Isaac in my life, so that's what I did. He's actually my personal business coach now as well, and we're doing this show together. So welcome, Isaac, to the show.
Thank you. So we decided to change the direction of the show just a bit, but I think you'll find the formats even more valuable. As Sarah mentioned, The Real Deal will still be talking to top producing real estate agents, but it will be more about the behind-the-scenes story of their lives, the inside scoop on what contributed to their success in business, and what mindset and habits have really set them apart. So we will, of course, have really great nonprofits, just like Mary's Place that we have today.
Woo!
Big shout out for them and other community organizations on the show because Sarah and I both really strongly believe in giving back and empowering our local community.
Yes, we do. So, in keeping with the nature of the original show and, me, which I like to keep it real, we're going to talk a little bit about just, real life stuff for the opening. And so I wanted to chat about Memorial Day. It just was around the corner. And so how was your Memorial Day, Isaac? I'm sure it was a little bit more meaning for you, had some reflection because you're a veteran yourself.
It did, yeah. I was Army and then Air Force, but I don't think I get double credit.
You don't? I would.
No, I wouldn't.
Uh-oh.
All the sales and stuff, you don't get double discounts.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's always very meaningful and just kind of a time of reflection and went hiking with the family, which is always
nice.
great. It's been such nice weather
Yeah.
around here lately. So,
Yeah. Where'd you guys go?
we went a couple different places actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we kind of just went out and found some great woods to hike in and some
Just went
creeks and-
adventuring?
yeah, went adventuring and
Nice.
found out that I needed a new backpack after that day. But no, that was great. Got to grill on the Traeger, which is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, you and my hubby, he's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, all about the smoking.
And then just a lot of business planning because we got some huge things coming up. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
with this radio show kicking off and reformatting and rebranding, and then also some stuff with Real Producers. We got our launch party coming up this month, and so did a lot of business planning as well.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I didn't do any of that like reflection. It's so funny because when I talked to you and I asked you earlier about your Memorial Day, okay, I did already know about Memorial Day, but when I knew, and you said you spent some time reflecting, I was like laughing in my head because, I don't do any of that because I'm spending my time running around chasing a 2-year-old who literally was scaling the walls at the Olive Garden. There's like a brick wall, and I turned around for 1 second. She took her shoes off, and she's like, "Mom, I'm going to climb the wall." I'm like, yeah, no, we're going to get kicked out of the Olive Garden. So I'm, running around like a crazy person, but I think it's choices.
Hey,
I
who hasn't been kicked out of the Olive Garden, though, right?
I don't know if I want that on my record. But yeah, so that, I pretty much chased her around. She's crazy. And then this is so funny. I don't know if you guys tuned in last Christmas, but I'm huge about Christmas. And so I did my whole Advent calendar online. I don't know if you followed that, but one of our things is the Hallmarkathon. So my husband, it's sort of funny because he's this big, manly man and whatever, but he loves the Hallmark Channel with me at Christmas. So we watch Hallmark channels literally from like Thanksgiving through Christmas. It's our thing. And so over the weekend, he had this great idea, which every girl's going to love. He wanted to have a Nicholas Sparks-a-thon. So if you don't know who Nicholas Sparks is, right? The Notebook. I mean, we started looking up all the movies. So literally every night we've been watching a Nicholas Sparks movie. So I'm just crying all the time now. But it was great. It was great. So very, very nice, relaxing time. I got some downtime, I guess.
Yeah, I remember for a while there, it seemed like he had a new book on the bookshelves about every other time you went in the bookstore.
I know. So. You know what? I Googled him because now I'm obsessed with Nicholas Sparks-a-thon, and he's divorced. Isn't that sad?
Oh, no.
I know.
I wonder if he's going to write a book about it.
I don't know. He should. He's pretty good at writing books. So, well, any other big news coming up on the horizons that you want to announce right now?
Yeah, well, we have the Real Producers, which is, again, that's the magazine that goes out to the top 500 real estate agents in King and Snohomish County, residential real estate agents. And we have our launch party coming up, which is very exciting, and it'll be on June 22nd up in Woodinville. And so we're just super excited about that. Obviously, a lot of our listeners are probably that same top agent demographic. Mm-hmm. And so hope you guys all got your invites. If not, make sure you check us out after the show and connect with us on that. So
perfect.
That's exciting. And then we have a lot of coaching stuff coming down the pike. So
yeah, I can't wait to talk to you next segment about coaching. You guys will get it. If you missed his interview, don't worry, you're going to hear it all coming up. So I'm really excited for today's show. It's kind of like our inaugural Real Deal radio show, right? But also Mary's Place being here. I just realized before we came in, they were the very first charity that we ever had on Financial Fitness. So it's just like, such
homecoming.
A great show. Yes. So tune in. When we come back from the break, we're going to be talking to Isaac about Kaizen coaching. And then the second half of the show, we have Mary Hartman and Ashley Kenny with Mary's Place. So stay tuned.
Are you intimidated by the seller's market we're in and unsure of how to secure a home in a multiple offer situation? The Riley Home Team with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation has helped hundreds of buyers successfully secure the property of their dreams, even in this challenging market. A pre-approval letter from the Riley Home Team carries more weight because we have the reputation of closing loans quickly with our state-of-the-art technology known as the Ultimate Home Buying Experience. To learn more about our premier service and technology to help you secure the home of your dreams, contact us today at Riley Home Team at fairwaymc.com or visit the website rileyhometeam.com. Sarah Riley, Senior Mortgage Advisor, NMLS 180007. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2289, is an equal housing lender. This is not an offer to enter into an agreement. Not all customers will qualify. Information, rates, and programs are subject to change without notice. All products are subject to credit and property approval.
Did you know that tonight, more than 500 families, moms, dads, and children, will sleep in cars, tents, or doorways, places unfit for human habitation? No child should sleep outside in our community. Mary's Place empowers homeless women, children, and families to reclaim their lives by providing emergency shelter at several King County locations. A warm, safe bed, a hot meal, dry clothes, showers, and laundry, as well as housing and employment resources to help families get back on their feet and find their forever home. What can you do to help? Make a financial contribution. On Wednesday, May 10th, the date of the Mary's Place Spring Fundraising Luncheon, all donations to Mary's Place will be matched up to $1 million by Amazon. Help Mary's Place meet the Amazon one-day $1 million match and double your gift at marysplaceseattle.org.
Isaac Stegman is the founder and president of Kaizen Coaching. His organization coaches some of the top real estate agents and loan originators in the country. Having recruited and trained over 1,000 sales consultants, Isaac has over 20 years of sales and leadership experience and has consistently been in the top 1% of his industry. Isaac now spends most of his time speaking, training, and helping elite performers align daily habits and mindset with their future goals and greater purpose. Isaac also recently launched the Seattle edition of Real Producers Magazine, which serves to inspire, inform, and connect the top agents in the market. Find out more about Isaac and Kaizen at www.kaizen.org.
Get your daily dose of variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. You're tuning in to the Real Deal Radio Show live on 1150 KKNW. I'm here with Isaac Stegman, and in addition to being my co-host, Isaac is a business owner, coach, and consultant who specializes in helping entrepreneurs and organizations find identity and align with their purpose to improve performance, culture, and client experience. As we mentioned earlier, he is the owner and publisher of Seattle Real Producers Magazine and is also the founder and president of Kaizen Coaching and Kaizen Media. Isaac is also married and a father of 3.
I am. And, it's so funny. Commercial breaks are great for productivity. We came up with a new blog idea for you.
Oh,
right?
we did for real.
You want to share that?
Yeah, Dylan the Destroyer.
Dylan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I could just write so many funny things about her. I know.
So she locked the babysitter out.
She did. She did, but luckily the babysitter, she loves us, and she said she'll still babysit because I need her dearly.
That's good. I'm just thinking Calvin and Hobbes.
Where
yes. They go through so many babysitters, and they finally find one that's just a Nazi.
Oh my! That's probably what we actually really need. Keep her in check.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Isaac, I'm so glad to have you on the show as my co-host. I'm really, really excited, and I want my listeners, all the listeners of ours, to hear about you. And so, first off, you have such a unique story. Could you just kind of give us a little background of how you ended up running a coaching company and your history? Because it's pretty cool.
I can. I should probably share that my biggest fear growing up was always hosting radio shows.
It was not.
Recurring nightmares. No, this is great, and I appreciate the opportunity, and it's just so fun. And so I guess to give you the overview, because we covered it in the last show that I was here as well, after dropping out of college, sort of failing out of college and leaving voluntarily, even though they probably wouldn't let me back in, I went in the military. Yeah. And I did sales for a short time before that, went in the military, jumped out of airplanes for a few years, and then got out and went in the Air Force. And after I got out of there, I went back to sales and sales management. And then I ended up being a firefighter for 5 years. So kind of a back and forth.
Yeah. You're like sales service.
Yeah. And so I just loved both of them. And it really was a job with Cutco back when I was 18 years old. It's like forever, 21 years ago. Wow, that's a long time.
It is a long time. We were just talking about how old we are during the break.
Yeah. Disregard that last second. So it was really when I was 18 years old that I was exposed to some really great thinkers and more inspiration and self-help and kind of the philosophy that you can be as great as you want to be. It's a choice. It's not that you're stuck somewhere that life has put you. And so I really started investing a lot in myself and learning and growing through that. I had some great mentors there. I had some great mentors in the military. I had some great mentors as a firefighter. And I had a lot of opportunities through both of those sectors to give back and also to practice leadership. And I was always kind of a natural born leader, but this was something that allowed me to practically do it with groups of people and have kind of a more formal structure to it. So when I ended up getting hurt at a fire after 5 years, almost 5 years in the fire service, and got medically retired by the state and kind of was just lost at that point. I thought that was my career. Everybody wants to be a firefighter. I'd worked so hard to get it. There was like several thousand people that test, and they take like 5. In my group, they took 3. And so I had just made it, and then I had to start all over again. And that was really a redefining period for me.
I can imagine.
And so I ended up running a real estate tech startup for a year with 2 other guys, and then bowed out of that and decided to help my friend Jeff Latham, who's still my best friend. He's a great guy, top producing real estate agent up north, and came on to help him run his real estate team because he was off traveling the world and running Ironmans and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And
cool.
If you know Jeff, that's just how he's wired. So ran his real estate team, and then also we started a coaching company together. He just kind of started this group, and then we paired up, and I just fell in love with it. It was great. It was everything I was looking for, and it really combined the service and also the inspiration and teaching. I always love to teach, and it just combined all of that. And so at one point we just decided to take it, and he just went back to running the real estate team, and I went to just running the coaching company and wanted to grow it. And now it's just growing like crazy. We've got 7 different coaches right now with 4 or 5 more probably within 30 to 45 days of coming on board.
Wow.
Always looking for great people, who have a unique gift and want to teach other people. So that's kind of where it's at right now. It's been quite the journey. We did have when you come to the name, Kaizen means consistent improvement or getting better every day. It's a loose interpretation of the Kaizen Japanese word and philosophy. And so when we got to kind of a stopping place in the coaching company and we're really thinking about where do we want to take this next, I asked some of our clients, what were the good and the bad things about the coaching so far, and feedback that I got was interesting. A lot of them said this is too much of good stuff, like too much good information, too many good things. And at first I'm like, come on,
seem like a bad problem.
It's like too much ice cream,
Right.
So yeah, right.
It can be bad.
So I thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, there can be such thing as too much of a good thing. And I dove a little bit deeper. And what ended up happening was we were giving them something to work on, and they were doing it halfway, and then we give them something completely unrelated that they thought was also really good or even better. And so they'd kind of hit pause on the other thing or reallocate resources or time. And it's the shiny object syndrome, right, that we all have.
You suffer from.
And so
lately.
we would just jump back and forth to different amazing things and never really fully implement and build a fence around. One of my coaches, D.R. Whitson, taught us to build a fence around what we'd already created. So instead of creating something and go, okay, that's in place, I'm gonna stop paying attention to it and go build something else. It ended up, his philosophy was, well, that is right now a pillar of your business, and you should build a fence around it and protect it, either with people, systems, processes, accountability, metrics, and measures, so that doesn't degrade when you go look at something else. And so we just ended up bouncing back and forth instead of building fences around all these great things. And so I started doing a lot of research on what is the most, just starting from square one. And I like to think outside the box and ask myself great questions. I think the better questions you ask yourself, the better answers you get, right? Yeah. And so I started asking myself, just taking all this and wiping the slate clean, what is the purpose of it? What is the intention? And the intention was not, and I feel like in a lot of cases, not intentionally, but a lot of us as coaches get wrapped up in wanting people to feel like they're getting a lot of value. So we want to give them a lot of information. Yeah. Or we want to make it really flashy and showy and, spectacular, when in a lot of cases, that's just overwhelming for people. And so I backed up and I said, well, if I just take my ego out of it, and I've got, the bracelet on, that off self on purpose, right? And so if I just take myself out of it and take my ego out of it, what do I really want to do with this? And I want people to consistently get better, not just go through, I'm better and now I'm back, and I'm better and I'm back, because they keep degrading the things that they're working on. So I kept coming across this term, Kaizen. And I came across it so often that I started doing research just on Kaizen, and then I got, tattooed it on my arm so I'd see it every day, get better every day,
Took it very seriously.
And then we made it our company brand, and then we made it our coaching methodology on I call it Cheerios coaching, right?
Why?
You have little kids. So if you have a 2-year-old or a toddler and you put a whole bowl full of Cheerios in front of them, first thing they do is whack it with their hands, and it goes all over the kitchen, right? And none of them go in the mouth. No. And so, but if you give them one and you put it in front of them, they kind of look at it for a minute, and then they grab it and they look at it and they put it in their mouth and eat it. And then you put another one in front of them and they eat it. So as long as you're not overwhelming them with too much, the process happens. And so we backed up, instead of trying to give as much volume of information and content and good stuff, quote unquote, good stuff as possible, we started doing what I call Cheerios coaching now, sort of informally, and just giving them the next thing to build off of the last thing and then build a fence around it, and then create the next thing, so that in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, they've created a system and a process of getting better consistently throughout time in a very purposeful way and in a very purposeful direction.
Right. Yeah, I love it. And I definitely need the Cheerios coaching, which is
we all do.
Why I love working with you. Yeah. So, when I had you on the show before, and you don't just coach real estate agents, right? I mean, you coach lenders and business owners and all kinds of professional people. So, but when I had you on the show, I was actually being coached at the time. And I was like, wow, this just speaks to me, because a lot of the coaching programs, like you mentioned, they're flashy. They give you tons of information, who to call, when to call, and then hold you accountable. Well, I honestly, think that you should be able to hold your own self accountable. And that wasn't really my issue. I know who to call, when to call. And so for me, it was so different. It's about getting more balance in my life and being successful in all things, not just business. So I was like, yes, I need Isaac. So I dumped them and immediately. And so far, I think I'm pretty happy with my decision.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's been great. And there's a ton of really big takeaways. I was pondering this leading up to the show, like what was my biggest aha, in working with you. And I think for the most part, all the things that have had the biggest impact so far on me were such small little things that I just couldn't even see, but made a huge difference in my quality of life. And I think, we just don't have a hard time getting outside of ourselves, but when someone else is looking in at it, they can see clearly and be like, this is what you need to do. And you're like, kind of embarrassed I didn't know that. But it's been really helpful for me. And then, a lot of times in coaching calls, it's like you leave the coaching call feeling overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, I have all this homework to do, all these things. But on Tuesday at 9 o'clock, when I know 10:30 I'm going to be talking to you, I'm like, okay, I feel a little crazy right now, but I'm going to feel better. I've talked to Isaac because you can tell you guys he's very calming. Me, I'm a little crazy. It's a good counterbalance. So, but you always just have those just perfect little tidbits. However, I think uniquely right after we started working together, I began this big transition of moving companies, which for me was, I don't know if you've ever moved companies, but very overwhelming to say the least. So at that point, I can't even put into words how valuable our relationship was and is still. But then I think we talked almost every day. And then when I felt kind of like monopolizing your time, then I'd get this text from you checking in with me with like the perfect little exactly the message that I needed to feel better. And it just brought so much value to me because, moving companies, I had been at Caliber for 11 years. And so it was a huge transition for me. And you just gave me so much perspective and insight on things that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So that by far, I truly believe things happen for a reason. And there's definitely a reason we got connected, not just to be my co-host.
Right. Not just.
But that was pretty amazing and still is, So I don't think there's any other coaching program like that. They mainly just, give you to-dos and homework, but it's more of like a life coaching, not such as so much business. A lot of times what the things you tell me are more like, why don't you hire someone to do that so that you have more time to, do other things. And
yeah, not like calls, like laundry.
Yeah, like
right.
Laundry. The calls I got covered, but it's like putting away the laundry. If there was a laundry fairy out there, and actually there is, I found one. So, yeah.
That'd be a great business model.
Oh, yeah.
The laundry fairy.
Yeah. Could you, seriously?
Oh, totally.
Everybody hates laundry.
Yeah.
It's like the worst. That and scooping the dog poop.
Somebody listening to this show just got $1 million business idea.
Yeah. And a business name. I mean, the Laundry Fairy.
Oh, yeah. Great name.
Great. Yeah. So take and run with that.
Okay. I'm going to go on GoDaddy right now and lock it up.
Yeah, lock in that domain.
And it's interesting that you bring that up because a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're in transition, right? Which is why they've reached out to a coach. And you weren't at the time. You hadn't made a decision. That was after the fact. But a lot of people, they're calling because they're overwhelmed and upset because they're transitioning. And that almost paralyzes them from making a decision to engage with the coach. So like as soon as I get moved over, as soon as I get through this hard time, I'm going to hire a coach.
Oh my gosh.
And I almost want to like reach through the phone, and you can't because they're doing the best they can with what they know. Right. But that's exactly when you need somebody to help you because we all have blind spots. I've got multiple coaches because I've got my own blind spots and I can't see what I don't know I have.
Right.
Right. Just like you were talking about, I come in and I can see it and it's like, how does he see these things? Well, it's because we're all human, especially when we get in these fight or flight scenarios. And for us right now, it's not being chased by a lion. Usually it's, transitioning jobs or having, clients leave or our biggest accounts gone or something. And so for us, that's when these fight or flight mechanisms come in, and it's not a 30-second fight.
No.
Well, and a lot of times it's a 30-day fight, or maybe it's a 3-month fight. And so we're on this constant, overwhelming adrenaline high, and we just kind of get tunnel vision because that's how we're wired physiologically. Is that when we're under stress, we dial in more to compensate for that, and then our blind spots get bigger. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anybody is having any hard, anything in their business or transition, I think I probably would have felt the same way. Like, wow, it seems too overwhelming to have a coach. But I don't think I wouldn't have come out to where I am without the perspective and support from you during that transition. Because we all have our people that we talk to, but having somebody that's a neutral third party that has outside perspective was just priceless.
Oh, thank you.
Priceless. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into our show. I also want to mention couple things since we have a second before we go to break. But we are, if you previously have been listening to the show, our website's currently down. We're, revamping right now, right?
Improving.
So it's going to be pretty amazing. But you can find us online because we got that set up. So Isaac did. He's amazing. We have a Facebook page, The Real Deal Radio Show, and Instagram, right? So we'll get this show posted on there, and we'll continue to grow the information so you can find us online, and we'll keep you posted on updates. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to The Real Deal Radio Show. When we come back from the break, we're going to be chatting with Marty Hartman and Ashley Kenny with Mary's Place. To find out about our show, find us online.
Isaac Stegman is the founder and president of Kaizen Coaching. His organization coaches some of the top real estate agents and loan originators in the country. Having recruited and trained over 1,000 sales consultants, Isaac has over 20 years of sales and leadership experience and has consistently been in the top 1% of his industry. Isaac now spends most of his time speaking, training, and helping elite performers align daily habits and mindset with their future goals and greater purpose. Isaac also recently launched the Seattle edition of Real Producers Magazine, which serves to inspire, inform, and connect the top agents in the market. Find out more about Isaac and Kaizen at www.kaizen.org.
Are you intimidated by the seller's market we're in and unsure of how to secure a home in a multiple offer situation? The Riley Home Team with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation has helped hundreds of buyers successfully secure the property of their dreams, even in this challenging market. A pre-approval letter from the Riley Home Team carries more weight because we have the reputation of closing loans quickly with our state-of-the-art technology known as the Ultimate Home Buying Experience. To learn more about our premier service and technology to help you secure the home of your dreams, contact us today at Riley Home Team at fairwaymc.com or visit the website rileyhometeam.com. Sarah Riley, Senior Mortgage Advisor, NMLS 180007. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2289, is an equal housing lender. This is not an offer to enter into an agreement. Not all customers will qualify. Information, rates, and programs are subject to change without notice. All products are subject to credit and property approval.
Did you know that tonight, more than 500 families, moms, dads, and children, will sleep in cars, tents, or doorways, places unfit for human habitation? No child should sleep outside in our community. Mary's Place empowers homeless women, children, and families to reclaim their lives by providing emergency shelter at several King County locations. A warm, safe bed, a hot meal, dry clothes, showers, and laundry, as well as housing and employment resources to help families get back on their feet and find their forever home. What can you do to help? Make a financial contribution. On Wednesday, May 10th, the date of the Mary's Place Spring Fundraising Luncheon, all donations to Mary's Place will be matched up to $1 million by Amazon. Help Mary's Place meet the Amazon one-day $1 million match and double your gift at marysplaceseattle.org.
Be sure to support the sponsors of your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150.
All right, you're tuning in to the Real Deal Radio Show live on 1150 KKNW. We provide our listeners with information from business professionals to bring solutions to your daily life and local charities to provide you with the opportunities to give back to your community as well. And today we have in studio Mary Hartman and Ashley Kenny with Mary's Place.
Woo. Mary Hartman is the executive director of Mary's Place, and she's a strong and convincing advocate for homeless families. Marty's a creative problem solver who, along with partners and donors, has secured funding and loaned properties to own and operate 6 emergency family shelters in King County. that house over 400 family members each night and offer housing and employment resources to hundreds more every day. With the support of the women, children, and families of Mary's Place, Marty works tirelessly to keep the need for family shelters before stakeholders in the community and local government. She never stops thinking about the hundreds of families who will sleep outside tonight and how to build partnerships in the community to bring them inside safe and together.
Wow, Marty, you're amazing.
Oh.
Ashley Kenny is the housing manager at Mary's Place. Ashley joined Mary's Place housing team in 2017. As the housing manager, Ashley oversees Mary's Place diversion program, services for unsheltered homeless families, the housing stability program to support for families that have newly transitioned into their homes, and the housing location program partnering with landlords. So welcome, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
We're
It's
so
wonderful
excited
to
to
be
have
on The
you.
Real Deal. We're happy to be back.
You are? Okay, great.
Yes.
We're happy to have you. And wasn't Mary's Place in the magazine too?
Yeah, and I didn't even know. It's kind of funny and fortuitous that it happened this way. So we just came out with the May edition of Real Producers Magazine.
Right.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, obviously. And they happened to be our chosen nonprofit that we featured. And so it was just really cool because I had one
So
in my
cool.
hand and I found out they were going to be here today. I didn't even know who the nonprofit was until last minute. And so it's just very nice to meet you guys finally in person. And I already heard the story and was inspired by it, and that's why we chose you guys for the magazine. And now we get to meet you guys in person, so it's very cool.
So cool. So
Well,
cool.
Thank you for loving our kids and wanting to bring them inside too.
Yeah, we do. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about Mary's Place and just the services you provide and kind of give us an overview?
You bet. Mary's Place is there charging into this crisis of families experiencing homelessness. We're running out cars and families in cardboard homes and those squatting in buildings and those washing up in bathrooms and restrooms. And we're saying, what will it take to move you into housing today? And if we can't move them into housing today, we bring them into shelter tonight.
Okay.
And Mary's Place really has 680 beds at 10 different locations. And all of the buildings we have are on loan for now. They're buildings
wow.
that are going to be demolished. And
Okay.
so we move in and we call them home for now. And we offer a whole slate of services to help families regain that financial stability and resolve their housing crisis. So we serve moms, single dads with kids, two-parent families, multi-generational families, families with pets. So bring in the dogs and the cats too. Because whatever your family looks like outside, we want you to look like that on the inside.
They're family
for
too,
shelter. They
right?
are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when families come in, they'll be greeted with housing specialists that'll help them navigate through this housing crisis and help them find a permanent home. We'll have a kids club so kids can make sure they're connected to their schools and that they'll have preschool classes or learning activities in the morning for the younger ones. And then when school's out in the afternoon, they come up and then get homework help, and volunteers come in and provide coding classes, Girl Scout troops, right on site, guitar classes.
Wow.
And allow kids just to be kids while their parents can continue working to gain that financial stability to help them move forward into that permanent home. A couple programs we have, Popsicle Place is pretty near and dear to our hearts. We learned about 2.5 years ago there were an increasing number of children sleeping outside that have life-threatening illnesses. So those kids that are waiting for more chemo, that are outpatient, waiting for another dialysis treatment. Maybe it's the baby that's being released from the NICU today on feeding tubes. And all of those families, those parents had sacrificed everything to get their kids well.
Wow.
They had sacrificed 401ks. They'd sacrificed their vacation, their sick pay, everything. They'd given up. In some cases, they lost their homes. Others, they lost their cars. Others, they moved into their cars. And so we learned about that, and we said, what can we do? How can we bring our community together to solve this? And so when we moved into a hotel that Amazon had provided for us, we were able to transform rooms there so that families could stay in 24 hours a day. Kids could go back and forth to Children's Hospital, get the treatment and the care they needed. And when they had a place to come back at night, and they were able to have home health care because they had an address. So working together with Children's has been a great experience, and making sure we connect with those families and so that they can get the care. And then we have one other program called Baby's Best Start, where we believe that children need to leave the hospital with their parents, right, and with their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have that address, we're able to bring you inside and offer support and a time to bond with your baby and nurture that baby while still working on your housing crisis. So a lot of good going on, but it's not all done by Mary's Place. We bring in tons of nonprofits. We bring in companies and corporations to come beside us to get the work done. We borrow buildings. We're better together is our motto.
Wow.
That's crazy. You don't normally think about the situation. I don't normally think about, and I think probably a lot of the listeners don't normally think about the situations behind what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to make assumptions or to judge or just to not even think about it. And I can't imagine, if one of my kids had some sort of debilitating illness that wiped us out, I would want to be there for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
to have to choose between working and being there with a kid who's that sick, that would be a super hard choice. Or to lose and give up. Yeah, you'd give up anything, right, to help your kids get better. And then where are you?
Right.
You gave it all up, so you got to start all over again. And so it's great that you guys are doing that and providing those services, because these are good people.
Yeah.
They're amazing families.
Yeah.
They are resilient. They are hardworking. They are the most courageous families I've ever met. And there's nothing they won't do or sacrifice or give up to help their children.
Mm-hmm.
They want their children to have something better than they had.
Mhm.
But that's all of us, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
all want to be loved, and they all want to be able to give love and give back to their communities too.
So how long are they able to stay at, the Popsicle program? How long are they able to stay there?
They're able to stay until they can find, a solution to their housing crisis.
Okay.
We work with them as long as they're working towards housing and that getting their kids well. And for all of our families, it's the same thing. As long as you're working toward resolving your housing crisis, we're going to be there with you. We're going to stand beside you. We're going to come along beside you and make sure that you have what you need, whether it's the employment connection or the housing resource or the diapers and the wipes or the backpack to go to school. You're going to have that too.
So does Seattle Children's help connect families with you guys? How do they find you?
Yeah, we have a great connection. We have our own pediatrician.
Oh, wow.
And we have other nurses on staff, and we have lots of volunteers. And the social workers connect with us, and then
Okay.
we make the connection when we have open rooms available.
Is there a waiting list then now, or?
There's always a waiting list,
Yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah.
In general, there are over 2,000 families outside in King County on any given night. So it's as we look, we believe that no child should have to sleep outside, and we understand that this is solvable, doable, and it's just a matter of a number of beds and enough resources to move families on into permanent housing. So.
Yeah, and that probably just comes back to awareness. People don't know, or they would make a different choice. If there was a kid standing in front of them right now, and you had to choose whether to pay whatever it took to get that kid in a bed, if you average the numbers out, or tell them that they had to go sleep on the street, every single one of us would make the decision to solve the problem, right?
You are right. We have a caring, compassionate community, and people just need to know how to respond and in what ways they can respond. And I think that's what Mary's Place tries to do so well, is break it down. There's everybody can do something, but not everybody can do everything. So what
Right.
is your piece,
Yeah.
right? And if
Yeah.
it's a corporation and you want to loan a building, if it's, an individual and you want to do a diaper drive, whatever that looks like, we need at Mary's Place.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the other issues besides, sick kiddos that's causing families to be homeless? You said there's like 2,000 at any given time.
Yeah, a rise in rent,
Yeah.
and we all know that that's happening across the county and, across the West Coast. And so a rise in rent will force a family to have to leave their home. And then sometimes they leave with an eviction on their record, and that makes it even more challenging and more difficult to get back into housing. Not only a sick kid, but a parent gets sick. Nobody plans for a cancer diagnosis
Right.
either. The loss of a job and the time between, moving from one job to the next job can always be a challenge too. And we can't go without saying that domestic violence is real. It's prevalent. There are not enough domestic violence shelters. And the number of families that we find in their cars, about 80% of those are really just fleeing a domestic violence situation. So offering them that safety and refuge is critical.
So Ashley,
Wow.
you just joined the team last year, right?
That's right. Yep.
What's been your experience so far working with Mary's Place?
Oh, it's a fantastic organization. And one of the things I love most is how we are always listening to what the need might be, listening to what the partnership opportunities might be, and then trying to make a match and walking alongside both the families and the partners.
Wow. So I heard all the things that you guys are doing, but what are you needing? 'Cause it sounds like you need buildings.
Yeah, I think we have an amazing housing services program, and that's what we're looking for, is to build those strengths and relationships and partnerships. And I know that Ashley can talk really about our housing locator program, that we're in need of apartments,
Okay.
and we're in need of buildings for shelter as well.
Yeah, tell us, Ashley.
Sure. Yeah. The shelters we provide are just that, just emergency shelter only. They're not
Okay.
home, and they're not the family's goal of their final destination. So when a family comes in, we meet with them to determine their housing hopes and dreams, their housing barriers. So do they have that eviction? Do they have incredibly low income? And their assets. Do they have, what income do they have? What voucher do they have? Or what potential do they have to increase their income once they're in housing? And then we look through everything we know about housing in the community, and we try to make that perfect match between what that family can afford and what community they want to be in, and what's available. We get most of our units, about 60% these days, through really effective housing partnerships, where we've worked with the landlord to understand how to meet their needs, while they also are giving back. And so our housing partnerships are usually, they take many forms, but at a bare minimum, we want to know how a family can qualify for a unit, and we want to hear about any availabilities. We have a very diverse group of families, and so some have very little income, and that's very difficult to find an apartment. Some have two parents working full-time jobs at pretty good wages, and they just need to be given that chance for someone to overlook that past eviction or, that past mistake that they may have made. So the partnerships also offer up some alternative screening criteria where, in exchange for allowing a family who has an eviction on their record, the Mary's Place team will provide our housing services program. So that's a housing locator. The locator is the partner, the advocate for the landlord.
Okay.
So that locator will attend the walkthrough. That locator is just a phone call away any day of the week if there's a problem. It's a housing stabilizer who's assigned to the family, because we recognize that, yes, getting those keys for that family is a big part of the journey.
Yeah.
But once you're there, then you have bills to pay, you have utilities to set up in your name. There's a transition, and we walk alongside the family in that transition. A lot of times a family is moving from downtown Seattle shelter up to Everett or down to Auburn.
where it's
and so the
affordable.
stabilizers help them understand the resources available to them into their new community. Where are the libraries? Where's the YMCA? Where are the new medical facilities? We also have a landlord mitigation fund, because we recognize that most landlords, this is their business, this is their retirement, whatever. It's a very important asset. And so we want to protect that investment. And so in case the worst happens, if there's incredible damage to a unit over and above the amount of the damage deposit, we have a fund to draw on to make that landlord whole. And landlord partners are eligible for that program.
Oh, that's incredible.
So we're always on the lookout for more partners. We're happy to talk with anyone. The more affordable, the better, of course. But as I said, we have families that can afford all rents and all locations. And we love anyone that wants to hear more about our program to reach out to us.
Wow. That's really amazing. So other than landlords, you guys need some landlords and some buildings. How other ways can people get involved and help and contribute to Mary's Place?
There's a million different ways and a million different needs, right? And we want to partner you with your skills and talents. So if you want to come volunteer, maybe you want to fill out housing applications, maybe you're really good at writing resumes or doing mock job interviews, because our families need those too, right? Maybe you want to teach a coding class, anything like that. We want you to come along and beside our kids, and bring your kids too. We would love to have your kids meet our kids meet your kids. We also do a program called Make a Home. Maybe you want to help a family transition into their new home, because I will tell you, they go with only what they came into shelter with. And whether it's blankets and sheets, or you've got an extra table, or you and your neighbors want to get together and collect all the dishes and plates and a couch and bring it over, we want to connect you with that family that needs to make a home. And then as well, we have an Agents of Change program where actually real estate agents come on board, contribute time, contribute donations to make sure that we're creating change for these families, and that you can use that logo and use that connection to Mary's Place as you work through your real estate sales and options, and make that a part of your giving. So lots of options.
I've heard about you guys from a lot of real estate agents, and they're all just thrilled with their partnership with you and what you guys do, and the value that they get, not mostly just from being able to give back, right, and having a way to do that. So that's been really great.
It's been an incredible partnership and a life-changing partnership with their contributions, and being able to use that money to really impact a family, and maybe make that down payment, or maybe pay that payment in arrears for a family that would never have gotten out from under that. That's what those gifts do. So they open up the opportunity for these families to move into their own home.
Wow. How many employees do you guys have versus like volunteers?
So we have thousands of volunteers,
Okay.
And we have about 200 employees now. So
Wow.
we're at 10 different locations. Many of them are 24/7. We have complete comprehensive meal services, that we have a chef and a team that works in the kitchen, and all of our kids club, and all of our housing specialists. And not only that, now we're out in the community. So we're out meeting those families in their cars, in their tents, if they can't make it inside, if there isn't adequate shelter space. So we're out everywhere trying to expand, because our goal would be that we would be in every community, that every community would have a Mary's Place, so that if you lost your address, you didn't have to lose your community too. And it's possible. So that's why we ask for the buildings. If you see something that's vacant that can be used for now, we want to use that. And if you have any apartments, because that's really the saving grace, is that connection to move these families in. 97% of families are homeless once in their life. This is that moment. This is one and done. It's it's one season. And if we can get you through that season, and we can get you through it quicker, there's less trauma in your life, less trauma on your children, and you can get back to doing all the things you love to do and all the things you dreamed about, if we can just get that roof over your head. So that's what we're on track to do.
Let's help them. You guys reach out to Mary's Place and see what you can do to get involved. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for loving us and inviting us in. We are so grateful for the partnership, and thank you for the shout out in the magazine too.
Oh, of course. And we want you guys to be at our launch party as well on the 22nd. We're not just inviting the agents. So
awesome.
Party.
We'll be there.
Party, that's right.
We're
It'll be
there.
fun.
Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Real Deal Radio Show. When we come back from the commercial, we'll have the Sarah Skinny. So to find out about any topics discussed on the show, you can find us online on Facebook, the Real Deal Radio Show.
Did you know that tonight, more than 500 families, moms, dads, and children, will sleep in cars, tents, or doorways, places unfit for human habitation? No child should sleep outside in our community. Mary's Place empowers homeless women, children, and families to reclaim their lives by providing emergency shelter at several King County locations. A warm, safe bed, a hot meal, dry clothes, showers, and laundry, as well as housing and employment resources to help families get back on their feet and find their forever home. What can you do to help? Make a financial contribution. On Wednesday, May 10th, the date of the Mary's Place Spring Fundraising Luncheon, all donations to Mary's Place will be matched up to $1 million by Amazon. Help Mary's Place meet the Amazon one-day $1 million match and double your gift at marysplaceseattle.org.
Isaac Stegman is the founder and president of Kaizen Coaching. His organization coaches some of the top real estate agents and loan originators in the country. Having recruited and trained over 1,000 sales consultants, Isaac has over 20 years of sales and leadership experience and has consistently been in the top 1% of his industry. Isaac now spends most of his time speaking, training, and helping elite performers align daily habits and mindset with their future goals and greater purpose. Isaac also recently launched the Seattle edition of Real Producers Magazine, which serves to inspire, inform, and connect the top agents in the market. Find out more about Isaac and Kaizen at www.kaizen.org.
Are you intimidated by the seller's market we're in and unsure of how to secure a home in a multiple offer situation? The Riley Home Team with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation has helped hundreds of buyers successfully secure the property of their dreams, even in this challenging market. A pre-approval letter from the Riley Home Team carries more weight because we have the reputation of closing loans quickly with our state-of-the-art technology known as the Ultimate Home Buying Experience. To learn more about our premier service and technology to help you secure the home of your dreams, contact us today at Riley Home Team at fairwaymc.com or visit the website rileyhometeam.com. Sarah Riley, Senior Mortgage Advisor, NMLS 180007. Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 2289, is an equal housing lender. This is not an offer to enter into an agreement. Not all customers will qualify. Information, rates, and programs are subject to change without notice. All products are subject to credit and property approval.
No other station delivers this much variety. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to the Real Deal Radio Show live on 1150 KKNW. Well, it's normally, this is the Sarah Skinny, which I'm really excited about because I'm going to talk about, you know, things and events in our economy that can affect your wallet, books you may want to read or listen to, or really anything that I feel is worth sharing in the hopes to provide you guys with value to your life. But since it's our first inaugural show, we're just going to kind of talk about stuff. And we're just like in awe of Mary's Place right now. During the break. I was just fighting back the tears, but I couldn't believe that 97% of homeless families are only homeless one time.
Yeah.
We need to get out there and help them.
Yeah. It's not a cycle. They don't cycle through.
No. So you guys will see as we get our stuff on social media set up, but I'm going to make a home and I'm going to post on there and show you what I did to help families get their stuff. And so maybe I'll encourage you guys to do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Isaac, what do you have? You got something to talk about?
Yeah, one other thing, though. I wanted to the Christmas thing.
Oh, my gosh, you're going to tell that.
Don't cry. You can cry. It's okay.
Okay.
So you were telling a story about asking a kid for what do they want for Christmas. They were 5 years old?
Yeah, a little 5-year-old right before the holidays. They just got in their apartment, and so one of the stability specialists was asking the kids, what do you want for Christmas?
I think you're turned off. Can you swing your mic?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right before the holidays, and the stability specialist was meeting with the family. Some of the kids were there and asking them what they wanted for Christmas. And a 5-year-old boy, you know, what do most 5-year-olds want? A new toy. And what did he say? He said he wanted a bed. They were all sleeping on the floor in this home.
Ugh.
So that's the opportunity we all have to help them get their home and then help make it a home.
I think it's great that, you know, we can involve our kids too, just telling them that story. Like, hey, remember last year when you got all this stuff for Christmas? And there's kids out there that just want a place to sleep.
Well, and you know what? Kids actually really want to help. I mean, their little hearts are so generous.
Oh, yeah.
My kids just give all the holidays. And I try to do things to help get them involved. And it's really hard. A lot of times the kids have to be like 13, pretty old to like go do things within the community. So this is stuff you could do with them. Just going out and buying furniture for a family that needs furniture.
Definitely. And that's also teaching them just the contribution and appreciation for what they have. Mm-hmm. And I mean, my youngest, he's always like wrapping up rocks that he found outside
my
in
kids
paper
too.
And like putting a heart on it and a name and giving you a present.
Yes,
you know?
I get that. Or like their toys, they just wrap up their toys and you have to unwrap them.
And they go around just from kid to kid to kid. I'm going to give Janine this.
Same.
Used to be, 3 other kids and then it was neighborhood kids before that. So
great.
So
gosh, yeah.
We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
Just wanted to reiterate again that we have the Real Producers Magazine out there. If you are a top 500 residential agent in King and Snohomish County and you are not getting your magazine, we probably just have an old address for you or something. Please reach out on Facebook or on Instagram. Message me at Seattle Real Producers. Just search that, or you can go on the radio show site as well and find that stuff there, because we want to make sure you're getting this stuff. We curate this content specifically for you. We always want to have a nonprofit in there when possible, and we're going to have a nonprofit every single month going forward from here. And then also with this new show, it's exciting because if you've been featured before, or if you're somebody who's going to be featured,
so exciting,
we are going to have you hopefully on the show.
Yeah.
And so we get to interview these great people and really find out the real deal behind it, because it's so easy to just look at someone who's super successful and make judgments.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
Like either end of the spectrum. You look at somebody who's homeless and needs help from Mary's Place, and it's very hard not to assume we know how they got there.
Yep.
And it's also really hard to look at someone who's super, super successful and not assume something about them, right? That they're special, super talented, have rich family, you know, and super connections. And a lot of these people, as I've been interviewing them, they just worked really hard and they got super focused on what they wanted.
Yep.
And they've just worked and worked and worked, and they've done the right things at the right time, and they've earned it, you know? So this is just highlighting those stories behind that. It's also giving kind of some insider tips on what are some things that most people don't know or don't do that you have done to create such success in your life and your business.
Yeah, we're really excited because we're going to talk about the real deal on our show. So you guys, just so you know, you can connect with me to find out any more about my mortgage team and my business at therileyhometeam.com. And also you can find out about Isaac and his companies at kaizencoaching.com. So look for us on Facebook for the Real Deal Radio Show, and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.